Herbert E. Huncke, my name, although I'm known generally as Huncke, and by a few as Herbert, and in the past as Herbie. It is seldom I'm referred to as Mr. Huncke, and when formal introduction is required, it is usually Herbert Huncke. I mention all this concerning my name simply because recently I've grown to dislike my name. Not because my name is Herbert Huncke, but rather because I've reached a point where my name, any name I might have had, by its mere utterance creates an almost weary and loathsome feeling in me. When I say it to myself, and frequently I say it to myself, I am immediately aware of a sense of disgust, as though the sounds I make are significant of not only me, but of a new and strange disease, and I am sure, for at least the instant, I am at last slipping into an insanity from which there is no escape. For several years I've been confident I will become insane. In fact, I've felt thusly almost as far back as I am able to recall. Once, when I thought I would become a writer, I was quite young, 14 at the time, I made periodical attempts to write poetry. And on this particular occasion, I am fully aware of the sense of pending insanity. It was shortly after dawn, and a large glistening sun was ascending a delicate blue sky. It was early summer, and people were beginning to enjoy the bright colors of summer attire. I was living on Spencer Street, just east of North State Street in Chicago, in an old wood frame house that had been converted into what is called studio apartments. The house was well constructed, and the rooms were large with high ceilings and windows reaching the full height of each room. I had spent the few hours just preceding daybreak bathed in moonlight, watching the sky through one of my windows. There were two in this room, huge windows which could be flung up quite high, letting in all the outside sound and scent and air on either side of a fireplace with a white mantel with two large brass candlesticks with tall green candles, allowing my thoughts to dwell as they would and pondering over my problems and the magnificence of a daybreak. I had set my minute energy quota into the natural urge, aiding each rent in the block of darkness, tugging at each fold of light to make way for the one great power, the sun. And now, as I descended the front steps to the street level, the sun was hurtling and spiraling across a huge space of blue. To one side of the steps was a flower bed, sparsely filled with yellow jonquils, and I glanced at them and then toward the sidewalk to observe several young women who were rapidly walking past and talking of their work and of something amusing, as when they had almost reached the corner, they began laughing. Their costumes were charming, and one wore something with large figures of poppy red, which I liked. I was rather frightened and deeply impressed. I stood a long time thinking about it, becoming more convinced each instant I was doomed. Several hours later, when I had finished my breakfast and returned to my apartment, I tried putting into a poem all which I had felt, and I was rather pleased with what I had written, although I can't remember any of it, and the actual writing is long misplaced, along with everything of myself at that time. It wasn't long after I began traveling and ceased considering Chicago my home.
Good evening. Welcome to the Velvet Trigger. This is a special edition. live at the moment, and we'll be not live when we see you, which is different than dead. And our guest this evening is, I'm so tempted, to call him Mr. Huncke, just because he said no one ever does, but you can't. I mean, it's not, it's not possible.
Well, it is possible. There are people that call me Herbert.
Really?
Certainly. And
Herbert?
You can introduce me as Mr. Huncke if you'd like to.
Yeah, but it makes me feel like a member of the CIA or something.
Well, continue. I'm sorry to have interrupted you.
Oh, anytime, always. So this is Herbert Huncke. You might have gathered that. And it's wonderful that he's here with us tonight, and he's going to read some of his things, and we're going to talk a little bit. And, that's it.